brilliant beauties. How are my female entrepreneurs tonight? Today, I'm so excited to invite the Aquarius full moon energy that is going to peak tomorrow evening. It's our last full moon before eclipse season begins. And I want to read to you something that I read that was so inspiring to me. The full moon in Aquarius tomorrow is the perfect time for radical change and progress. As the first supermoon of the year, it carries an extra dose of intensity, urging you to break free from old patterns and align more closely with your true self. With the power of Aquarian energy, you can reflect on what you're finally ready to let go of for good. This is your opportunity to reclaim your sovereignty and stand firmly in your truth. I think about this so often. I love control. My daughter says that I suffer from something called CFD, control freak disorder. And I look back in my life and I think about, when did that begin? And for me, it really began in high school when my parents announced that we were going to be leaving our home in Southern California and moving to Tucson. And I thought my world had fallen apart. I had friends that said I could stay and live with them, and my parents said, absolutely not, you're moving with the family. I didn't even know how to pronounce Tucson. I called it Tucson. I was not excited about it. In fact, behind the scenes story, I dropped out of high school and ran away and was very rebellious about this change in my life. And when I ran out of money and returned home, I realized that I needed a plan. I needed a plan to get back home to Southern California. And I think that's when this obsession with control began for me. And I created, it was a hot pink notebook with hot pink 3-ring binder, the kind that were like the soft cover that you could really slide into your backpack easily. And I had a printed page for every year of my high school experience. And every month I had specific targets so that I could get out of Dodge and get back to the beautiful Southern California lifestyle that I had loved throughout my childhood. And one of the things that I'm noticing no longer serves me is this desire for control. And I'm noticing it shows up and surfaces in the realm of fear. It's like this fear, for me, there's a fear of cancer returning. There's a fear of not making enough money to provide for my daughter's horse dreams. There's just a ton of fear that I carry that I'm not aware of. It's often operating in my subconscious. And what I'm noticing now is it shows up in ways that are very, very harmful to my family. And what I mean by that is it shows up in ways that, like, I'm afraid that my daughter's not going to be successful. And so I'll hammer onto her things that are really important. And I start to become just like my mother. And I start to realize my daughter, she shuts down when that happens. For me, I took it. And I took that tough love and used it as a tool to make me stronger. I don't see that happening with this generation. In fact, I just finished my first week of teaching fifth grade. I was divinely guided, completely unexpected. I am the queen of strategic career planning. I help people pivot. I study the skills that pay the bills. Every year there's job skills reports. The World Economic Forum puts out reports. I study those, and I have spent my lifetime preparing people to be successful in college and the workplace. And this one I didn't see coming. I have surrendered my life to God, and in the aftermath of a layoff and cancer, which all came within 3 days of one another, and only 5 months after tripling my mortgage and making my daughter's wildest dreams come true of putting a horse in the yard and having this gorgeous barn and farm. And it really, as the Fresh Prince would say, my world got flipped, turned upside down. Those of you who are products of the 80s, you know what I'm talking about. And it was a moment when I really did have to surrender. It was a moment when I learned that God was working through the hearts of people. I had people that I barely knew. We'd only lived there 5 years when my diagnosis came, and these people's hearts were so kind. I had a neighbor who made space in her barn for Gigi's horse and said, she's welcome anytime, and she can just walk right across the gulch and come ride so that you can focus on healing. I had neighbors who brought over bone broth, noodleless chicken soup with organic, free-range, hormone-free chicken. I had neighbors that brought over kale and mung bean soup, things that were nourishing my body. I had neighbors that gifted me goat milk lotions and soaps. I had neighbors that invited me to come and cuddle puppies. I had neighbors that asked if they could drive me to my appointments so that I wouldn't be in an MRI machine all alone. And it was the most beautiful season of my life. I never would have thought I would have said that. When cancer was first diagnosed, I never thought I would look back and think that was the best season of my life. And it was because I learned how to be human. I learned that it's okay to ask for help. I learned that you don't get to know the whole vision. You don't get to know the marathon and what it's going to look like. You only get to know the next step. And I see the world right now is in a space and place that is very uncertain. And it's filled with a lot of toxicity, not just in our environments, in the foods we consume and eat, but in the people. This week, it was the most difficult week of my life. I was really excited to be divinely guided back to the classroom. And I have a classroom that is filled with children who are so delightful and they want to be seen and they want to succeed. And the curriculum is years beyond their reach. And it's the most poorly written curriculum I've ever seen. I'm a math expert. I always joke, you know what's great about math? You can count on it. I love math. Get this, day 3 of 5th grade, here's the lesson. Decimals to the thousandths place. That's simple, right? Tenths, hundredths, thousandths. You get them talking about money. You can clearly get the dimes and pennies squared away. Then you move into thousandths and we understand our place value. The first question out of the gate in this absolutely horrifically written curriculum was, this is question 1. Question 1 on the review of decimals. It said 3/10 is 100 times as great as what number? I have a master's in mathematics, and that's whenever I was planning that lesson, I had to push pause and go, wait a minute, I'm not teaching algebraic expressions. I wonder what is the best way to explain this to a 10-year-old child. And so it was it's very, very difficult for children who are in poverty and underrepresented and don't have a lot of advocates. I shared with them my journey stories, which was part of the literacy unit for the first week of school. Ironically, studying Chinese immigration and how people had to buy identities and have paper sons. And I thought to myself, how is this relevant to a 10-year-old living in the horse capital of the world in a trailer park? Right? There are a lot more things that, as I bring my knowledge of training leaders across the globe and working in industry, I think to myself, why are we not reading about leadership, reading about the brain, reading about health, instead of Chinese immigration and paper sons? Anyhow, that being beside itself, what I ended up doing, because children didn't have access to the curriculum, was policing behavior. I can't tell you how many times I had to tell kids to put on their shoes, keep 4 legs on the floor, help kids that have fallen out of their chairs. I mean, you can't even make it up. The hardest part, though, was because of this gap that exists, they don't believe in themselves. And so misbehavior is the behavior of choice. And they slowly exhaust their teachers. You see it in the hallways as the course of the day goes on, as the course of the week goes on. I had a child literally push someone and call someone a bitch ass this week. I pulled him aside and had our behavioral interventionist talk to him first. And then later in the day, asked him, I said, it comes to my understanding that you didn't feel supported. Can you talk to me about that? And I had taught them about the importance of making positive choices and how positive choices lead to increased trust. The more trust they have, the more great feelings they have, which exhibits more positive behaviors. We built out a systems thinking causal loop diagram. We talked about how after that has been happening for a period of time, you get privileges and extra responsibilities. And I told him, I want you to know something. When you don't feel supported, I don't want physical behavior or physical altercations or negative words to be your go-to. I taught them about the vibrational frequency of words. And I said, where is that on your frequency scale? And he said, very low. I said, I want you to know something. I trust you to make great choices. And when you do that, you will find that you will feel good about yourself. And I'm here for you. And I've got your back. And I could see he was looking at me like, I don't know about you. And I looked him straight in the eye, like I'm looking at you in my training and you who are joining me in my group. And I said to him, I know that a lot of people in your life have not had your back, but that changes now. I've got your back. And your name is now beside mine, and that means you've got to be trustworthy. And I'm building a new identity. Then fast forward the next day, altercation on the playground with another child who everyone wanted to tell me about these kids. I said, save it for September. I believe everyone deserves a clean slate. Reinvent yourself regularly is one of the things I learned in Mark Sanborn's book, The Fred Factor. It's why I love reading. Leaders are readers, my friends. And so I said, I've given my children the permission to reinvent themselves this year, to create a new beginning. And we're strategically working on building their identities. They're working on their clarity chart and using high performance habits in the classroom. I have the most beautiful list of their words that describe them. Words like peaceful, protector, encourager, leadership, fun, kind, thoughtful. They did their own clarity chart. And I thank you, Brendan Burchard, for making that a lesson that I learned and that I can bring to these children to help them see that no one takes that away from you. And so this little boy had an altercation on the playground, and I asked to speak with him, pulled him aside over by the bathrooms where we were out of sight. And he started making up excuses about how they did things first. And I said to him, why didn't you come to me if they did that? And he said, teachers never listen to me. I said, do I look like your average teacher? He said, no. I said, then I need you to trust that I'm going to be here and I'm going to listen. I hear you. I respect you. And I don't want you being stuck in this low vibrational space. I want you to rise above the noise on the playground. And I want you to exhibit the best leadership you've ever exhibited this year. And so in this moment and in this season of this highly transformative eclipse, this full moon is planting a lot of seeds of change. And what's happening is we're feeling this unsettling energy that's flowing in, and we're experiencing these states of being in limbo and in this process of change, and we want to control things. I can't tell you how bad I want to control all of these kids' behaviors. I can't tell you how badly I want to make sure that they know that they are seen, that they belong, that they have hope for the future. Yet I also need them to be quiet sometimes when they don't know the answer. Instead of getting up out of their chair and running and following me, or asking questions, or choosing an absurd behavior like falling out of their seats or taking off their shoes. So I am living in this highly transformative time, and I'm also wondering, why did God divinely guide me back to this space? What is it? I know that these kids' lives are important. I also know that the gentleman who's in my classroom is learning a lot right alongside me, and we are tag teaming this. And there's other parts that I don't know yet, and it feels a lot like my cancer journey, where there was a lot of unsettling energy, and I only get to know the next step, which tonight is to get myself to bed, have a restorative night's sleep, bathe in 432 hertz, and allow that sound to wash over me, get that electromagnetic field flowing through me so that I have that golden globe of protection. For those of you who are like, I need this, what are you talking about? I need you in Warrior Women's Society. We meet the first Sunday and third Monday of every month. You need to be surrounding yourself with a high vibe tribe, my friends. It is the most important thing you will ever do, is to get yourself with like energy beings where the vibration is high, because we have a lot of work to do. We have very important leadership roles to play in our families, in our communities, and in our workplaces. I also look at these kids are a lot like my daughter. My daughter she asks me all the time, why do adults get to just act like that? Why do adults get to be jerks just because they're grown-ups? They just get to boss people around and act like a jerk? And I'm like, wow. I think that we are all in a season that is highly transformative, and it is a grand invitation. I always say, those of you who train with me know, your agitations are your invitation to change. This full moon right now is wanting us to surrender, to be present in what is showing up. What's showing up for me is I don't get to control. And I don't get to be the person that has extraordinarily high standards and just expecting everybody else to rise. That I have to be gentle and soft and kind and walk right alongside them and help them get there. And I think that that is the grandest invitation that all of us need. Whether you work in a hotshot, high stakes environment that has that kind of fast paced, I've been in the environments of Google, Microsoft, Ping Identity, Amazon. I know what that's like. And there's still space for softness, for your feminine energies of nurturing, collaboration, communication, sensitivity, presence. Those things are really important. This state of surrender can be freeing because we recognize that there's divine guides guiding us through this journey, but it also activates a lot of fear because we want to control. We want a solution. We want the instant fix. We want to be able to plan for what's ahead of us. Then get this, Uranus is the natural ruler of Aquarius, and it's also active under our full moon right now, which adds to that insecurity that we're feeling. When Uranus is active along with the full moon, we feel irrational, we feel moody, we feel caught off guard. It creates what I call wild card energy. It's like, who knows how this is going to go? One of my favorite coaching clients, she always says, oh gosh, what did she say? Let it go and hope for the best. That's one of my favorite things. Anytime I'm really struggling and wanting to control, I think of her and I think, let it go and hope for the best. And so Uranus is going to trigger what is weak. It is going to trigger what is no longer stable or working in your life. For me, that is the desire for control. It is the desire to think that I'm in charge and that I've got this. You don't got this. There's a great God and divine angels guiding you. Your higher self is also present and guiding you if you can awaken your intuition. There is this illuminating quality of this full moon that is awakening us to a new truth. And eventually that will lead to a new freedom. Uranus wants to shake us awake so that we can see something we didn't notice before. I had one of the hardest days ever with my daughter yesterday. And it's because she cried out in such a way that I realized I am not reaching her with my tough love. I am not reaching her with my high expectations. She needs the gentle, loving, nurturing version of me, not that rock star that's crushing it and achieving every milestone that she's struggling to believe she can achieve. She needs that soft, sensitive version of me that is loving and kind. And interestingly, that's what my students need as well. So I want you during this season to take a look inward. The Aquarius full moon is an awakening full moon. It's awakening a new way of being. And I want you to just think about what are the glimpses that you're being seen, that you're being shown, that are being revealed, that are igniting a state of change in you. What might those be? And can you tend to your own fire? I don't know about you, but most days this past week, I came home so exhausted after running myself ragged with these kids. I literally had to wear sneaks because I don't even know how many steps I took per day, but it was like a workout. I didn't pee from 7 a.m. till 2 p.m. Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. Thursday, I finally figured out how to get one little bathroom break in. And I'm literally packing my vegan protein shake and having a liquid lunch because I have about 13 to 14 minutes by the time I get them through the lunch line before I have to pick them up and chaperone them at recess. And so I'm noticing my own inner fire. By the time I get home, there is nothing left. There's not even an ember. And so this is a time to come back to our inner world, to tend to our own inner fire, to return to that passion. So for me, I think a lot of what stressed me out was this crunch through the curriculum at a rapid pace. And I have to remember to follow my joy. I literally wrote a poem today for my students, and it was called More Than a Score. And I wanted them to know they're brilliant beings filled with gifts. This world is waiting to receive your giant smiles, your soft, kind hearts, your acts of kindness, your brilliance. And that's just the beginning of it. But I want you to really spend some time looking at what are the things that are being revealed to you that might be indicators of change? And then how do you look inside of yourself? Because this full moon is rocking your outside world to help you look into your inside world. Ooh, love you all. And that's leadership, right? This is a time of leadership. Leaders have vision and direction. So I want you to think about, what are you going to let go of and say no of? Say no to. I want to read to you one more time what we began with. The full moon in Aquarius tomorrow is the perfect time for radical change and progress. For me, that radical change is in these students' lives, to tell them a new narrative, to say this is a time to believe in yourself more than anyone's ever believed in you. I'm focusing on beliefs with them. I actually documented next week's training with our Sunday Night Live is going to be the 7 beliefs to live by. Ba-dum-bum, sneak peek. As the first supermoon of the year, it carries an extra dose of intensity, urging you to break free from old patterns. List what those are. I know one person who's got a really nasty grip on alcohol, and that is dragging him into pits of despair and discouragement and distraction. And it's heartbreaking to watch. And I just pray over that individual that he will break free from that pattern. And then the second part is, once you break free, for me, it's the breaking free of the pattern that I have to control everything, that I have to be so smart, that I have to be successful, that my worth is dependent upon my paycheck and my title and my status and my degrees and all the things. And I want to break free of that pattern and align more closely with my true self, which is that what I love about having been divinely guided to Ocala. This place is a place with a town motto that says God is with us. I just came from a celebration of my church's 35th anniversary, and the mayor was there granting a proclamation. It was absolutely amazing to see God and these almighty divine working in people's lives. And I want to surrender to partner with that. Because I don't know about you, but trying to control it all, trying to be the smartest, the most successful, the best with my money and financial plans is exhausting. And when I really take an honest look, I never did all of it by myself. It was always, there were people working alongside me, leaders who saw things in me that I didn't see in myself. I think of this wonderful woman named Brenda who called me out of the blue and said, hey, do you want to come to Ping Identity and lead the development of our learning and performance department? I was like, I don't even know what IDAS is, but the way she described that company, unlimited paid time off, a CEO who believes in relishing life, the office that was hip with lots of free goodies, beers on tap, all the things. I just thought to myself, wow, I would do anything to work here. That woman believed in me. She saw something in me I didn't see in myself. When I asked her what attracted her to my resume, she said, you lead change initiatives. I was like, I do? I hadn't even seen that in myself. But when I looked back, it had been there. I built gifted programs for schools, for the state, for universities. I built downtown Denver's first elementary school. I led an innovation grant supporting innovation in all of our educator preparation pathways in alternative and traditional programs across the state of Colorado. I had led the development of centers of excellence for a global firm. And I thought, oh my gosh, that is what I do. I didn't realize I did that. It felt so divine. And I look back to the very first principal that I ever had, Chris, who taught me how to be a damn good teacher because he never gave up on me. And I just want you in this moment to time travel back to those individuals who believed in you and to look at that is your true self, the best version of you. So let's quit beating ourselves up. Let's break free from those old patterns. One old pattern I really got to break free of right now is emotional eating. This week, you don't even want to know, this is embarrassing to admit, I gained 10 pounds. I have no clue. And technically, it's been over 2 weeks. The 2 weeks, first week back for teachers And then this last week with kids, I haven't weighed in 2 weeks. I've been a little like, woo! And I am in shock. I'm really mad because I have a little bit of a muffin top. It's even bulging over my jeans right now as I sit here with you, and it makes me sick. I worked so darn hard to lose my COVID-19 weight. I quit alcohol and cut, I think it was about 28 pounds. I dropped really quickly just giving up alcohol. Then when cancer came rearing its ugly head and I had to starve cancer cells, turns out sugar feeds cancer, so that was first cut. There's a lot of cancerous foods, and when I cut all of those and got down to an alkaline diet that was also anti-inflammatory, because inflammation slows down the body's processes, and it also disrupts your thyroid, which governs your immune system. So when you have cancer, you need your immune system functioning on full throttle. So there were a lot of foods that I gave up as a result of that. And that brought me down to a very trim waistline, a nice six pack, a tight abs. And I'm like, where are they? My abs are squishy right now. And I'm so mad at myself. So, Warrior Women's Society, we meet on the first Sunday and third Monday, and we are going to get warrior-like with our food and fitness goals. So for me, one of the break-free patterns that I have to release right now is emotional eating. And I'm going to declare that right now, that I claim my power over food, because my true self sleeps better when I eat a low digestive load. I have more focus and energy. I am in a better mood. Good food, good mood, my friends. When you eat foods that are nutrient dense and nourish your body, you're in a better mood. This week I've been like, I'm barely making it. Oh my God, what is happening? And I have been in that space of, how did they describe it? Irrational, moody, and caught off guard. That has been the Uranus activity that has been present in my life. And it has added a lot of insecurity into my feelings of stability. What is happening? Why is this happening? What is going on? And so I want to invite you to just list, what are the old patterns you want to break free of? And what are the patterns of your truest self? For me, my truest self, and what I've had to dig deep in this week, my truest self is leadership. My truest self is from my grandma's stubborn Irish roots. I do not give up. I will not give up on my kids. I will not be a part of the pattern of behavior that they've been exposed to in this educational system. I will choose to rise and lead. And the best part that I'm embracing right now is to lead in a way that is different. I'm not going to lead from the place of high standards, high expectations, rise or die, right? That we were raised with. I'm going to do my absolute best to lead from a place of nurture, of love, and compassion. Those things are a little more unique. I came from the school of kind of like the Ed Milet talks like this. I'm starting to notice this masculine language that I was really nurtured by, which was, you need to be putting in the extra hours. What's his 10x? One more, just one more thing, one more, and striving and thriving, and at the expense of myself. And what I'm noticing in the next generation is they're not as motivated by that. They're not motivated by self-sacrifice. They're not willing to do it. They question it. They opt out when it doesn't feel good. And so as a leader, great leaders make sure that everyone succeeds. And I want you thinking about this, because I know all of you are leaders of your families and in your communities and in your workplaces. I want you to be thoughtful of, how do people feel when they're with you? If I'm always riding these kids, or if I'm always telling my daughter that she's never going to make it if she can't XYZ, or you've got to do this, and then she's always falling short, how does she feel when she's with me? And I'll be honest with you, my daughter doesn't feel like she's enough. And it made for a really heartbreaking day yesterday. And I now know I have to build her up. And I know a lot of my clients, their kids are struggling. And I think that part of why God guided me back to the classroom was to build a nurturing heart. I'm listening to songs that are nurturing. I am listening to HZ frequencies that nurture myself. I am going to reevaluate all of the foods I put in my mouth because I've only been good at breakfast and lunch all week. I have my mushroom coffee in the morning, then I have my vegan protein shake for lunch, then I have liquid greens. And then by dinner, all bets were off. Monday night for dinner, I had nachos. Tuesday, I don't even remember. One of the nights we went to Texas Roadhouse. I mean, I was getting by dinner time. And so this week I am going to do better at dinner. I'm going to keep my perfect morning and afternoon, and then I'm dialing it up at dinner because I know that food affects my mood. So I would love to hear from you in the chat. What is it that is driving you forward right now? What is that old pattern that you're going to break free of to accelerate your life in a way that is beautiful, that is nourishing, that is synergistic, where everything is happening for you and because of you, and in divine state of flow? One of the beliefs that I believe wholeheartedly is that we are all here for a reason, and we don't have to know what that reason is to make a difference today. All we have to do is go out and shine our love and light into this world. So with that, my friends, that's what I invite you to do. Thank you for joining me for Sunday night training. I have so much love for you. I hope that you'll get registered for Warrior Women's Society. Please message me if you'd like an invitation. I would love to meet you, talk to you, see if that's a fit. I also have Women's Business Accelerator for those of you who are in the early stages of wanting to launch a business and still a little uncertain about your uniqueness and how to position yourself strategically for success. Or if you're in those early stages and things aren't quite going as planned and you really want to dial up your high performance leadership to make sure that you are setting the foundation for success, because a lot of businesses fail, and I'm not here to set you up for that. So I want you having that high performance foundation, because the world's highest performers are happier, healthier, and less stressed than their peers. So we bust down some myths, we break through with our uniqueness, and there's also some group coaching in that program that's really important. Another way that you can work with me is one-on-one coaching. I have a lot of great one-on-one clients, and that is quite possibly my all-time favorite thing to do, because we focus not just on your professional growth. That's why people come. But the honest truth of what I love the most is it's seeing the growth in their families. It's seeing the growth in their health. Those are the areas that always experience the biggest transformation, and that brings me the greatest joy. So Warrior Women's Society, twice a month meetup. That's option one. Option two, Women's Business Accelerator. I have a new cohort that's going to be going live the Wednesday after Labor Day. And then one-on-one coaching, which is on your terms. So with that, I'm Dr. J. Thank you for joining me for today's training. Welcome this Aquarius full moon energy. It is a super moon. It is time to release all of those strongholds that have had their grip on you. And sometimes it might not be through your own strength that you do that. It might be through the strength of God and your almighty team of divine angels and higher councils that are working in your favor if you can trust and surrender. Those were the two words I carried with me. I imagined myself putting them in my pocket every day from December until this day. Trust and surrender, trust and surrender. And then I'd add courage in there too, because I feel like it took a lot of courage for me to move across the country and follow God's guide. And it has definitely taken a lot of courage to step back into the classroom after being out for so long and training and getting world experience. So my friends, go out and shine your love and light into this world. The world needs your leadership. You need your leadership too. That compelling vision that gets you out of bed in the morning. If that's something you want to work on together, we can also do an extraordinary life edit, which is just 3 sessions together for strong recalibration. So lots of ways to work together. I want to know you. Message me and we'll set up a 30-minute chat. Love you, friends. Mwah.